While other nations preserve their source of wealth, while other nations develop their sources of wealth, Nigeria doesn't care about their source of wealth. Niger-Delta boasts of the center or the source and the summit of everything we have in Nigeria since the 1970s, because we didn't diversify. We focused on oil. Now that oil money we enjoy, that oil money so many politicians steal from, that oil money that they share around like national cake, nobody talks about where they get the oil, the Niger-Delta. Today, we talk about the environmental crisis in Nigeria, and then we highlight the impact of oil spillage in Niger-Delta. Then we talk about the desertification in the north. Welcome to the Diary of a Broken Man, where we discuss political, economic and social issues concerning our country Nigeria and Africa at large. Once again, you are welcome. Remember to subscribe, to share, to comment, to like, to engage in the content. Thank you for watching once more. Now let's talk about Niger-Delta, the oil spillage and the ecocide, the causes and the effects. The Niger-Delta, rich in oil reserves, suffers from frequent oil spills due to aging infrastructures, pipeline vandalization, and inadequate maintenance by oil companies like Shell and Chevron. This spillage contaminates the water, soil, mangrove ecosystem, and leading to biodiversity loss and rendering farmland and fisheries unusable. Gas flaring exacerbates the problem, releasing CO2, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide as we choose to call it, and toxic pollutants, contributing to respiratory diseases in communities like the Ogoni land. Now let's talk about ecocide and the fight for justice. Activists label this destruction as ecocide, highlighting the severe long-term environmental harm around this area. Now these people, they don't do anything. They are just there in their land, and Nigeria is, taking and taking and taking without looking back to see how these people fare, how they are suffering. These people, where we get this oil, how do they survive? Since 1970s, local communities, despite contributing minimally to global emissions, face health crisis and economic displacement. Legal battles such as the 2011 UENP on Ogoni land, which outlined cleanup recommendations, have seen slow or no implementation, reflecting systemic neglect and the corporate accountability issues in Nigeria. Nigeria is a country where you do things anyhow and get away with it, especially when you have money. Not to talk of foreign companies. They can do and undo, and nothing will happen. And God save you, you take yourself to court. You will go to the court proceedings forever. Nothing will happen. You just do anything and get it. Once you have money, you do anything and get away with it, which is painful. Which country runs like that? Now let's talk about responses. Now, efforts include the Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project, the HYPREP, and the lawsuits against oil firms. However, challenges like corruption, like I said, and the weak enforcement, the economic reliance on oil hinder progress. No matter how you do it, Nigeria has set our base on oil. Nothing more. We don't diversify. We are not into agriculture. We abandoned our rice groundnut pyramid, our cocoa, our oil. We abandoned all these things for oil money, the easy money. Let's talk about desertification in northern Nigeria. The second part, the causes and the impact, as usual. Now, northern states, example, the Sokoto, Borno, these are northern states, face desertification driven by deforestation, overgrazing, and climate change. The Sahara's southward expansion, up to 6,000 acres annually, reduces arable land, intensifying food insecurity and the conflicts between herders and the farmers. The shrinking Lake Chad basin exacerbates regional water scarcity. Lake Chad of late is shrinking, and the more it shrinks, remember this place is it is a desert area, with lesser, humidity, lesser water bodies to contain the people. And still, the only water around them, especially the Lake Chad, shrinks. And then this taking over of land and expansion, this expansionism will destroy many things for us, because most times our expansionism or expansion is not planned. Our expansion is just buy land, do this, and the people keep building and encroaching into these areas where farmers, at least because of the desert environment, where they graze their animals and where they plant their crops, all of them are being developed, unfortunately. Now let's talk about adaptation strategies. The Great Green Wall initiatives aim to restore 100 million acres of land by 2030 through afforestation and sustainable land use. Nigeria's component focuses on drought-resistant tree planting and community-based agroforestry. Challenges include funding gaps, and ensuring local engagement. Now let's talk about climate change adaptation strategies in Nigeria. We look at what we are doing at the center, the national level, and then the local efforts we are making around the states and the local governments. Now, Nigeria's National Adaptation Plan promotes climate-smart agriculture, renewable energy, example, solar projects, and the flood defenses. Initiatives like the Climate Change Act 2021 aim to mainstream climate action, while international partnership, example, Green Climate Fund, support financing. Unfortunately, the finance doesn't get to, need more and more finances, because it's not easy, fighting for these environmental issues, especially where we have desertifications, especially because of deforestation. We need to replant trees where trees have been removed. This constant cutting of trees without replacing them is dangerous to the environment. Now let's talk about communities and the policies they place for this environment. Local adaptation include rainwater harvesting, early warming system, and education on sustainable practices. Urban resilience projects address flooding in cities like Lagos. However, political instability and insufficient funding slow progress. In as much as communities are making efforts, are you making efforts where the effort will be sabotaged, or where you need $1 million or 10 million for something and you are giving 500,000? Or sometimes you are left to fend for the money yourself. So this is the problem we have. Interconnected challenges. Climate change exacerbates desertification and extreme weather, while oil exploitation fuels global warming. Environmental justice remains critical, as marginalized communities disproportionately bear ecological burdens. In conclusion, Nigeria's environmental crisis demand integrated solutions, stringent regulations of oil companies, and scaled-up reforestation and inclusive adaptation policies, international cooperation, and equitable resources management, which are vital for safeguarding both ecosystem and the vulnerable population. Now, let's talk about Niger-Delta. From 2011, you remember when they formed militants, and Nigeria went against them, tried to fight against them, but they refused to acknowledge the fact that what gave rise to the Niger-Delta militancy was the overuse of the land of Niger-Delta. You overuse their land, you get oil from there, you don't think about developing the land, you don't think about their education, you don't think about their feeding. their waters. There's no effort at all to make things at least to give them a sense of belonging. Like I said, every other nation around the globe, every other nation knows their source of income as a nation. They know their revenue sources and they work hard to protect and develop them. Ours is just about taking. Once they discover oil in Enugu, they go into Enugu to take the oil, but talking about developing that Enugu is another case altogether. Unfortunately, what they do with the money they will take from that oil is not to develop anything. Let me not talk about Enugu, anywhere in Nigeria. Just to steal the money, to share the money. Because Nigeria, our concept of governance, our concept of politics or being a politician is the amount of money you are able to steal within a particular period of time. And to make matters worse, even people around you, even if you decide to be a good person, not to be corrupt, people around you will be telling you, why? What are you doing? You are not wise. You are not, you don't know how to play the game. Play the game, get your own share. It's just a matter of time and you are out there. And this is how corruption grows. And unfortunately, the system revolves around itself. The same set of people, still, the same set of individuals that we knew when we were young. The same set of politicians have been there, rigmaroling the system. They have been there in the system. They don't want to leave. And unfortunately, the younger generation that will take over from these people are not even ready. They are more interested in entertainment, circuses. They are circus lifestyle, going to party, going to this one, arguing about who dresses well and who doesn't do, who divorced and who didn't divorce. All these things, dancing, comedy. Yeah, that's where the interest of the younger generation in Nigeria is. Nigeria can still get to develop Niger-Delta. Niger-Delta should be about the most developed place in Nigeria because of the amount of wealth Nigeria has gotten from them. But it's still left for Nigeria to do what they are supposed to do. And if care is not taken, these guys may relapse to the militancy again, because the way they have been abandoned, the way they have been crying out for Nigeria to do what is right, shows they will soon, if care is not taken. But certain things can be averted with actions. What we are calling on is the Nigerian government to, that place you get oil from, the oil that sustains the country, to go back there and develop that place. It doesn't take much, but develop that place. And then help the global warming by planting trees. Make it a national thing. One thing I loved about Singapore is when they began with Lee Kuan Yew, the very first thing they did was tree planting. You will never know the importance of tree planting. In your house, where you live, Nigeria can make it a must that if you build a house, you must plant a particular number of trees. It should be a must. If not for anything, at least for renewable energy. If not for anything, at least for clean air, natural air. But who cares about those things? What we care is about how to steal money and how to borrow more. Let me know in the comment section what you think about the Niger-Delta issues. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Thank you for watching once more. Remember to subscribe, to share, to like, and to comment. Cheers.